In this video, I'll be walking you through a Miro meeting template that I've designed using the meeting framework of Sociocracy, so that you and your team can run better meetings that feel more inclusive, connecting, and effective. Don't worry, you don't need to be a sociocratic organisation to use this meeting template. Its purpose is simply to help you run better meetings. But if you're curious about Sociocracy and wondering what that's all about, I've linked a few videos below. If you're new here, hi, I'm Lizzie. I've spent the past 8 years working with founders and their teams to adopt more progressive ways of working. On this channel, I talk all things company culture and self-management practices. First of all, I want to say that this meeting template is completely free to use and available in the Miroverse. So I will pop a link below so that you can download it. Although this meeting framework is based on Sociocracy, I really invite you to take what feels best and leave the rest. Essentially, it's all about helping you design better meetings, because we all know what a bad meeting feels like. Before we dive into the walkthrough, I want to share a few reasons why having a structured meeting template like this can work wonders for your team. First of all, it keeps things open and transparent when we can document the actions and the discussion points that were had during a meeting. And especially when we are operating in a self-managing organisation or a self-managing team, transparency and accountability needs to be very high. And so having a structured meeting template like this supports that. It's also ideal for remote and hybrid teams, because once again, we're all working off the same template, the same structure, so that no matter where we are, whether we're in the office or at home or working from some exotic island, we can all see what the points are that are being discussed, what actions are happening, and who was also present. So again, it adds that layer of transparency and visibility, especially for remote and hybrid teams who perhaps couldn't make the Zoom meeting, but then everything is documented. Now, I'll be completely honest, this video is not sponsored by Miro. For those of you that know me and have followed this channel for a while, you will know that I just really love this tool, not only in my work life, but also in my personal life. And I especially find it helpful when working with remote or hybrid teams, because when we're working together, Miro is accessible all the time and it's very visual. The very reason why I wanted to create this template is to make a fun meeting structure rather than just a plain Word document. So something that felt interactive, visual, and that we could actually enjoy using. So hence why I've done it on Miro rather than kind of a simple PDF or Word document, because I do believe that Miro is brilliant, especially when you are remote or hybrid. Okay, let's get into the walkthrough. The first segment that I want to highlight on the meeting template is that we have made it very explicit of who is in this team. So this area is what we call the circle. Usually a circle is a semi-autonomous team actively working on something together. So the aim is the work that they are actively doing. What is it they are providing, supporting, creating as their team? So these are usually kind of like doing words. The domains are the things that they have ultimate authority or responsibility over. So this could be certain policies, it could be certain pieces of work. So I've added this part in, and you might not have a self-managing team or a self-managing organization, but even as a team, you will have something that you are specifically responsible for and taking care of. And I really believe that by adding this into the meeting structure, we then have total clarity and alignment on what it is that we are creating together. So you might not choose to have this on your meeting template, but for me personally, when I'm working with teams, this helps create clarity and alignment on what it is that we are working on together and what we want to achieve. So I've also put down there how you'll notice I've got members of that team. So again, we've got the individuals who have some kind of role or responsibility within that circle. Now, for me, all good meetings should start with a check-in. And some people might throw this away as something frivolous and fluffy and a little bit too soft. But I personally feel that when you have a check-in, it allows everybody to ground and land and helps to develop that psychological safety. Now, the reason I particularly like doing a check-in is because I also want to know where everyone's energy and where everyone's head is at. Because if you've had a really busy morning, or if you're just feeling tired and not very energized, I want to know that as a facilitator of that meeting, because then we can make sure we're accommodating to people's needs, the energy in the room, and not trying to overdo things. It also really helps with team dynamics, because sometimes someone might be a little bit off in a meeting and we're taking it personally of like, why is that person being so odd today? The check-in just allows us to have that full team awareness of how we're all doing. So yes, I know you want to skip the check-in, but I would really recommend that you keep it. It's just a simple question of how are you arriving today? Or you might choose to have a different question each time you meet. But even that simple question can work wonders on supporting and creating the atmosphere and energy of that meeting. A small but vital part of any meeting should be those who are supporting the meeting. It's probably one of the biggest pitfalls I see in meeting design when there's no facilitator, no timekeeper, and no secretary. Now, scribing and taking notes is kind of being taken over by AI now with lots of different note takers, but we still need a facilitator to hold that space, hold the agenda, and ensure that everybody gets heard. I also really believe that a timekeeper, whether that's the facilitator or someone else who is nominated in the space to be a timekeeper, is really great for ensuring that we're not running over time and we're keeping things moving. So a facilitator is there to ensure that everybody gets heard and ensure that that agenda is moving along. And when things start going down rabbit holes or people start over talking, that facilitator should have the skills to interrupt those negative patterns. So in my opinion, it's good practice to get into the habit of noting down who is facilitating that meeting, who is timekeeping, and who is taking notes. The admin element in this meeting template, in my opinion, is simply good meeting hygiene. It takes only a few minutes to complete, but provides shared context of who is in attendance of this meeting, how long is this meeting going to be, is there any information that we need to attend to from the previous meeting? And also, when is the next meeting? This ensures we have shared context as a team, and it only takes a few minutes. So why wouldn't you do it? Now we have the meatiest part of any meeting, and that is the meeting agenda. Now, what you might do is co-create the agenda together in the meeting. But I personally find that that wastes a lot of meeting time, because what we're trying to do is organize the priorities, understand what each person is trying to bring. Before we know it, that could have eaten into 15, 20 minutes of that meeting time. So in an ideal world, what we want is either the team leader or the facilitator or whoever's organized that meeting to have already co-created that agenda. So emailing people to check in, is there anything you want to add to this meeting's agenda? And then making sure everyone knows what's going to be covered beforehand. So that just feels far more effective and efficient, because then we can just get straight into what we need to talk about. So what I would always say is, when you're building out this agenda, is start to add items, but invite people to contribute. And then another good practice to get into is kind of giving those pieces time slots. So if you could say, okay, we're going to be discussing this for 15 minutes, we're going to be discussing this for 10 minutes, to give it that container also makes people feel like you're taking that time seriously, and we're really going to make sure we get through some of this stuff, rather than it being quite uncontained where it can go off in a tangent and people don't know that there's a time limit or that there's other things to discuss. So we really want to try and have that structure so that we feel like we can contribute in the best way possible. Now, a little nuance that I've added from the world of Sociocracy is the RED tagging system of your agenda. Now, this represents report, explore, decide. And by tagging your items on your agenda, you can again allow people to understand what is it that we're doing with that specific piece. Is this just a report that everyone needs an update on, or that we need to get some questions or reactions on? So is it just us sharing some kind of information? So that's a report. Is it an exploration? So this is where we are problem solving or creatively brainstorming. So exploration is just simply us thinking of ideas together. And a decision is where we are collectively having to make a decision on something. So a decision that needs to be made by the collective. So tagging it in this way, again, ensures that we have a clear understanding of what is required of us when we attend that meeting. You'll notice to the side of the agenda is also a space for action items. And this is where we can help each other remain accountable to who said they will do what. So this is a space where we have very clear actions for either individuals or the team. And this again creates a container so that when someone says, hey, yeah, I will write that blog post, we can assign a name and an action. So again, we're creating this transparency around who said what and is going to do what by when. Action items are all about taking action and who is taking ownership and accountability of those action items. So if we imagine this meeting structure a little bit like a sandwich, we've got kind of like the check-in and the admin elements, then we've got the agenda, and then below that we've got the backlog, checkout, and feedback. So it's kind of like a sandwiched meeting structure. Now we're getting onto the final piece of bread, and what we have here is the backlog. Now, the backlog is all about the things that haven't been covered and still need to be covered by the team. So this might be things that weren't able to be covered in that meeting. It might be things that they need to review at a later date. So this is almost like the to-do list of the team. A rolling to-do list that things keep getting added to, because let's be honest, a to-do list never ends. So this is a space where we can kind of contain those things together and say, oh, we didn't manage to talk about the summer party in this meeting, so we better add that to the backlog so that we can discuss that in the next meeting. So again, we're kind of constantly finding placeholders to ensure that information and actions are always followed through this kind of repetitive cycle. We then have, of course, the checkout. How are we leaving this meeting today? It's a great way to close out the meeting to make sure people feel like a sense of closure and they can just move on with their day rather than kind of rushing out of a meeting. That's one of my absolute pet peeves because I just don't feel like it helps people mentally check out. And so actually having a small checkout of just how are you leaving today enables people to take their actions away but feel like there's nothing lingering. Another nuance of Sociocracy is that there's often a feedback round. And the point of this is to have that continuous improvement of our meeting structure. How did it work today? What did you enjoy about our meeting? What didn't quite work? The more we can get feedback about our meeting structures and how meetings go, the better we can make them. Now, all of this structure is, like I say, based off the Sociocracy framework. Now, a constant practice that we also do is rounds. So speaking in rounds is really important. And the facilitator should have experience and skills in doing rounds where we go around the room and ask each individual one at a time. Again, so we're making sure that it's participative and inclusive and that all voices are heard. Like I say, this meeting template is available in the Miroverse. It's free to download. Go away and have a play with it, edit it, make it your own, but also go and give it a play, see what happens and see how it feels in your next meeting. But thank you so much for watching and good luck with creating better meetings.